Welcome back to the Rise and Grind Workshop, everybody. My name is Ryan, and if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us today. I've got an awesome video for you. I love making custom signage, especially when it's going to be a retirement gift for a Sergeant First Class from the United States Army. Absolutely think these flags make some of the best retirement gifts.
Okay, first things first, anytime I'm working with pine wood, I always use some type of a pre-stain. It doesn't matter what brand you use, simply find one and use it. Another pro tip, make sure you read the instructions. Who would have thought, right? However, this will save you a bunch of time, money, and headaches. You'll notice prior to laying down my pre-stain, I went ahead and used my orbital sander and knocked down the sign blank. And once again, read those instructions and the manufacturer will tell you what grit you should finish your sign blank with. And just in case you're a new viewer to the channel, this here is called a composite brad nailer. It is manufactured by a company in Italy called ORTUR, and yes, it's very expensive. However, when it comes to CNC machining and very intricate designs, you've spent a lot of time and energy tramming your spindle to the spoil board. You want to make sure you get that sign blank as flat as possible. And now on to the fun part. Fire up that CNC machine, load up the program, home it, put in your first clearance bit, find your G54, and let that bad boy run. Now, one question I get on every single video is, what end mills am I using and what kind of tool paths am I using? That is all going to depend on the type of machine you have, the desired look you want, what CAD CAM program you're using, etc. I always change my tool paths and my end mills depending on what type of design I'm doing. There's no right or wrong way to do it. At the end of the day, this is your project and the final outcome is going to be completely up to you and what you like or what your customer wants. And remember, if you're new to CNC machining or have an interest in purchasing one, the first thing you need to identify is what's the maximum size project you think you'll create. You always want to buy the biggest machine you can afford because you can always make small things on a large machine, but if you buy a small machine, you cannot manufacture large items. Now, I also touched on this earlier in the video, and I really should make an entire video dedicated to this, as most people new to CNC machining don't realize you are completely in charge of telling the machine where to go, what to do, how deep to cut, how fast to cut, and how aggressive of a cut to take. On top of that, you also need to know what type of end mill material you should be using. Should you be using special coated end mills, etc. But don't worry, there's plenty of free online CNC machine calculators, and most manufacturers will give you their recommended settings. Now keep in mind, those are only a recommendation, and you will have to adjust those settings up or down depending on the power of your machine. And if you're still with me at this point, here's another knowledge bomb for staying with me. I know somebody will comment on this, so I will address it right now. You'll notice I'm using a MAP gas bottle versus the standard blue propane, and that's for two reasons. Your MAP gas can come out at about 3750 Fahrenheit, and the propane bottles are usually reaching about 3600. There's also a big price difference between the MAP gas and the propane. The reason I like the MAP gas here, I have this flag secured down to my spoil board, and I want to be able to get those stripes scorched as quick as possible without damaging the stain or applying too much heat to the sign blank, which is going to make it want to curl upward where I've removed that material. Now, I've had lots of people ask me why I use an oversized sign blank, and this here is exactly why. Earlier, you saw me put the Raptor brad nails into that sign blank. I did a final profile pass with a 1/4 inch end mill, and make sure you're utilizing the tab option in your CAM software. Tabs are very important at this point in the game. You've come a really long way, and at this point in time, you do not want that CNC machine to grab that sign and fling it across your workshop. Now, nothing too fancy here. I've already addressed this process in most of my sign making videos. However, if you're new here, I will cover it for you anyways. One of my favorite tools is this Craig multi-tool. If you guys want to know exactly what this is, I do have a link in the description below to my Amazon store where you guys can buy all the exact tools and products you see in my videos. Basically, all I'm doing is making a mark on the perimeter of this flag. Then I'm simply going to glue and pin nail some vertical uprights to the back of this sign. That's going to allow the sign to stay nice and flat on the wall. It's going to give me a place to mount my sawtooth hangers, and it will also create a nice little drop shadow effect on the sign when it's hanging on the wall. It's all about those small details. Now, earlier in the video, you might have noticed a blue film on the sign blank, and that is Oramask 813, and that is a high quality spray mask. This is the only mask I've used, and I don't see myself changing. I know it's a little pricier than some other products on the market, but when you're this far into a project, you only want to use nice high quality materials. And you'll also notice instead of 3M painter's tape, I'm also using frog tape. When it comes to painting, trust me, that aerosol spray can get crazy and paint will get in places that you never would have imagined. Don't ask me how I know. You can also pick up a roll of this craft paper from eBay or Amazon, and they make a different thickness. This is a very cheap, thin material. It's for one-time use only. It's very inexpensive, and I highly recommend this anytime you're painting a project. Now, when it comes to painting the thin green line, there are many different ways to skin a cat. You can use everything from a spray gun to a paintbrush. I've used it all, and I typically get the same results. However, the process you see me using here has produced the most consistent results. You have to remember, wood is a porous material. I buy some of this shellac clear in a spray can, and I give it a couple coats. Once I'm satisfied that the wood has been sealed, I can then go ahead and utilize either a spray can, airbrush, foam brush, paintbrush, whatever you have on hand to get the look you're hoping for. Now, another tip that is extremely important when it comes to painting, temperature and humidity control is a must. Once again, those pesky instructions will tell you exactly what your ideal operating temperatures are and what you should be doing to prep for paint. When in doubt, take your time. You typically only want to be about 6 to 12 inches away from your sign, and you should always instill a 50% overlap pattern. One of the fastest ways to ruin your sign is getting that nozzle too close and getting a massive amount of paint and risk the chance of having runs. Furthermore, if you hold the spray can too far away, you're going to have to watch out because the paint will start drying before it even hits the sign blank. This is going to take a little bit of trial and error, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Isn't that what our parents always told us growing up? Damn, I guess they were right. Now, when it comes to mounting hardware, it would be impossible for me to know exactly where every single customer is going to hang a sign, and some builders address this by not including any hardware at all and leaving it up to the customer. While I agree that's a good option, I also know what it's like to receive a gift and want to hang it up but not have the hardware on hand. Therefore, I'll take a few things into consideration: the weight of the sign and where the sign would typically go. I also finish these with an indoor polyurethane, so I know the sign is going to be mounted indoors. Therefore, I stick with the very simple sawtooth hanger design. Now, if you've made it to this point in the video, I'm sure you're saying to yourself, Ryan, that is the best looking thin green line flag I've ever seen. I can't wait to go make my own. Well, you might just want to stick around till the end of the video. This is where I see the most amount of mistakes happen. You have a nice finished product, you go to seal it with a polyurethane, and you end up extremely unhappy with the finished product. If you'd like to know all the differences between polyurethanes, I will put a link below in my description. Check out the thin red line flag video where I cover all the differences. For this project, my process is simple and I always follow the same steps. I make sure I've got nice, clean, compressed air. Once I'm satisfied with the sign blank, I then break out what's called a tack rag, and I gently wipe that over the sign, and that will remove any stubborn remaining materials. And I personally really like the look of the Minwax water-based, fast-drying, semi-gloss indoor polyurethane. Now, when it comes to polyurethane, don't freak out. There's no right or wrong way to do it as far as the overall look is concerned. Just make sure you follow the manufacturer's instructions and make the sign how you like it, or make it exactly what your customer wants.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is unfortunately going to be the end of this video, but I'm really curious. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys really think about this finished project. What would you do differently? And even let me know what other type of signs or flags you would like to see me make on this channel. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. If you're a fellow subscriber, I thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. And if you would like to purchase a sign like this, I will have a link to my Etsy store down below. And if you're curious about any of the products I've used in this video, I have a link to my Amazon store. It's a great way to help support my channel. It will cost you the same amount of money as purchasing on Amazon. I get a small kickback, which will help me create projects and upload to YouTube like this for you guys.